spyware, the CCP spyware TikTok. Put them up there as well. And it's probably going to be a little bit of a thin crowd this morning, I would assume, because I'm a half hour early, which I don't really have a choice. I'm going to a place in Massachusetts called Marlborough, Massachusetts. And I can't, it's an awesome place to go for, the way I have things set up with trucking, because I can do my unload tonight and go to my backhaul and leave, 8 o'clock in the morning, be on my way back to Toronto. At least that's kind of the goal. But when I do the streams, that kind of kills that possibility, because I have to be in Marlborough by a certain time to get offloaded at night. If not, I got to wait overnight, offload in the morning, whatever. So that's why I'm doing it a little bit early today. I apologize, and apologize how I look as well. But it is what it is, and I hope you're having an awesome morning. Good morning, Megan. Megan gets a star for being up this early for a stream, and thank you for being here. And it's not going to be terribly long today. It's going to be cut a little bit short, but I do want to talk about something that is important. The most important thing is that you have a good morning and an amazing morning and an amazing day despite the weather. I'm sure if you're in the upper right corner of the United States, or you're in Ontario, Quebec, that sort of thing, you got a little bit of snow. I had another drive from hell back from the U.S. yesterday. I was doing so good. I was on pace to be back home kind of early-ish, maybe 6:30 at night. And I ended up getting back home by 11 because I was 50 miles outside of Buffalo, and that stupid lake effect snow hit, and it was quite brutal. I was down to like 20 miles an hour along with everybody else, and people sliding all over the place and not understanding snow and just basic physics and traction and all that sort of stuff. Anyways, it is what it is. Today is is another day, and it's going to be an amazing day. And good morning, Avril. Hitchhiker, what's up, brother? It's good to see you. So I want to talk today, for those of you who've been watching War Campaign, they have been discussing a little document that was sent to them, an 88-page document, which I'm going to get to in a second, or in a couple of minutes, but I want to lay it out first so people understand. Okay, how to explain this all. In the defamation of BJdichter, the process has not been easy. The process has been having to capture as many platforms, influencers, people as possible to also send them out to defame me. That's how people in politics work, especially politicians. They always have a cutout. They want plausible deniability to say, oh, it's not us, it's these people that are doing it, right? So they've been laying the infrastructure over the past year as they've been doing it. And that's where you get all the, BJ did this, BJ did that, he's bad, and whatever. Okay, fine. So one of the platforms that they reached out to was War Campaign. And the War Campaign had a meeting with them. And they presented documents, which I'm going to explain all of this in a minute, why and how this whole process works. Because this is how leftism is taking over politics. So this is kind of the strategy, and I'll explain that. But they did this, had this meeting over Signal, because I told everybody in Ottawa that Signal is the least likely to be traced. That's what they struggle with the most. And so they had this presentation, which is like just corporate bullshit, and about messaging and how to message and how to talk about Freedom Convoy. And you got to watch their live stream from yesterday. It's an hour and change, but it is so worth it. And I'm going to play a little clip for that in a second. Watching from rural eastern Ontario. Howard, you got snow there? Because we got a ton of snow yesterday on the way back. It was horrible. Jody, good morning. Cuidado, Resistencia. Rohan shows how these people manipulate and use the same liberal tactics. Disappointment. Yes, this is what I had been seeing in the Conservative Party. It's not just the Conservatives and the Liberals, to everybody. This is how it all works, and this is what we need to fix. And I'm going to, over time, be laying out some strategies. I had some calls with some people yesterday who also want to fix it, to explain how to fix it. We can do that over time. It's snowing here in Northumberland. I got to tell you, Avril, I'm not shocked. When I hear Northumberland, I probably think snow. But hey, listen, it's that time of the year. It's going to end soon. Spring is around the corner. St. George, Ontario. You know, I got all these places I got to go in Ontario. I want to go to rural Quebec. I know a little bit of rural Ontario. I've been, I had a friend from Blind River growing up, so I've been up to Sudbury area, Blind River, Kapuskasing. Like, I've been all over, but it's been a while. It's been a while since I've toured. Morning, only a few inches of snow in Lindsay. Only a few inches. Lindsay, have you ever seen what happens to, like, Tennessee or Georgia when they get like a dusting of snow? Like, the whole state shuts down. Yes, come to Port Hope. I would love to come to Port Hope. That would also, let's let the weather get a little bit warmer, and maybe we can figure out some venues and some times for me to come out for, like, overnight on a weekend or something like that to see some of you. I would love to. Okay, so anyways, Rowan had this meeting from War Campaign. He had this meeting with them, and this was Freedom Corp Board, JCCF, Conservative Party. It's all the same thing, Big Con Canada Inc. And they basically dictated to War Campaign, this is how you're going to speak about us and about the Freedom Convoy, and this is how you're going to message moving forward. And credit to Rowan. We don't have enough people in Canada who have the courage to say, no, go F yourself. And which is exactly what he did. And I could tell he was really confused. Wasn't sure what to do with it, because this happened in October, just leading up to the commission. If you notice around the commission, that's when there was a lot of defamation around me and attacks of me and whatever. They were lining this up. All right. So in that presentation, he talks about stakeholders. It's a stakeholders communication presentation, okay? Now, I have in the thumbnail, which I had changed, so I have a couple of thumbnails here, that kind of outlines some of it. Let me see if I can open it up in the browser while I explain this to you. So, what is a stakeholder? This is the first thing we have to address. This is how the political parties view all of you. This is how they operate. This is also how, when you decide that there's an issue that's important to your community and you get upset because you get ignored, right? Why? Well, you're not a stakeholder. Yeah, you're a stakeholder of the general population is a stakeholder, but that's not kind of a primary focus. The reason they do this is because, and by they, I mean political parties. By the way, remember I said the Freedom Convoy was taken over by a political party? Well, here's your kind of evidence. They're using all political party strategy, all political party vernacular, and down to their corporate BS presentations. And by the way, they were trying to shovel this bull down my throat during the Freedom Convoy as they were trying to take over. That's what I was getting from, we're getting talking points and this, and we should do, like, and I told them, much like Roe, I told them where they could take a hike, and they didn't like that. That's when all of a sudden, BJ became a Fed. You notice shortly after, I was, and I'll explain how that came to be in a second. But, so, this is the problem with advocacy now. I got to change the lights from red. I look like Joe Biden, devilish. Red is a nighttime color. It's not a daytime color for me. The what's it called? Okay, back to the strategy is they're utilizing all these political strategies we see frequently all over the place because they're trying to make it as efficient as possible and getting voting blocks. That's what this is all about, voting blocks. The Freedom Convoy was a voting block they were trying to create. That's why they were trying to take over the Freedom Convoy, and that's why they got so upset when Dichter told them to go take a hike. This is not about political parties, which Tamara and I agreed to from the very beginning. And I thought that was, That was a condition of me joining. I said, no, we're not doing the political party thing. This is freedom. This is for everybody. This is going to be cross the political spectrum. I want lefties there, righties there, everybody. Freedom's for everybody, right? And Tamara said, she agreed with me, and that's why I said, okay, I'll get involved. All right. So back to the stakeholder presentation. Again, you got to watch Ro's thing. It's an hour long, and I don't have an hour to go through it, but I'm just going to explain kind of the mechanisms, how it goes behind the scenes. It's a way to efficiently break down voting blocks to address the concerns of just the stakeholders, because that way you can get blocks of votes, right? So who are examples of voting blocks? Black Lives Matter is a stakeholder. In the U.S., I don't know the degree that they are in Canada. I'm sure I know with a couple of the parties, they're listed as stakeholders, but Black Lives Matter. The bicycle lobbies on the municipal level, that's a stakeholder. Green city initiatives, all those green proxy organizations, those are stakeholders. Legacy media is a stakeholder. Major donors are stakeholders. Somebody who owns, I don't know, a bunch of manufacturing plants. I don't know, like Frank Stronach, for example, would be considered a stakeholder. So this is how it all operates, because they know that they don't want to spend the resources on communicating to everybody on the individual level, which is what we think how politics works. How you think it works is the complete opposite. And this is a very collectivist worldview. This is why, I try to get people to resist saying people are left or right, or I don't know, you choose. You see them doing with this race all the time, but they're trying to put everybody into a box that defines them, because this comes from politics. This is how they operate, right? Watching from Owen Sound. Thank you, Lucy. You're awesome. I haven't been to Owen Sound in quite a while. I used to go to Peterborough all the time doing deliveries as well. And this is Orwellian levels of creepy. Yeah, it is. It is. Can you imagine when I first saw it on the inside of politics? I was like, wait. This is not how it's supposed to work. But I would always get, well, you don't know how politics works. That's why I was always like, oh, okay, that's fine. So they, these stakeholders is why often you'll see, and I think it affects rural communities particularly more, because your rural community will have a culture, and that culture will often be very different from downtown urban Toronto, right? Whether it's on, the importance of religion in your community, or the lack or need of infrastructure for bicycle lanes or all that sort of nonsense. This has been, in my mind, the push or pull that's been going on for the past 15 years. And this is not limited to Canada. And I explained this on, I think, Michaela Peterson's podcast, that from my perspective, we're seeing, the friction in society, in Western societies or developed societies, because it's now happening in Latin America as well, is between rural communities and urban communities have completely different needs from one another. But it's always the people in the urban communities, the cities, which is where all the governments are, they're just, blanket making decisions for everybody that are completely in contravention to what rural communities need. Gun rights being one of them, right? Nobody in the city has to worry about groundhogs or coyotes, although they're starting to a little bit, on the farm, right? But that's a concern in rural communities, but the urban communities don't care. So that's where the friction, or they don't care. They don't know. They just, for them, as somebody I know, I love how she describes it. For people who live in Toronto, or even urban areas in Toronto, in Canada, they seem to think that, the rural, or we have the green belt in Ontario, that the green belt or Canada's, green forestry is between the cottage and their home. That's it. They don't understand that there's a whole lot more out there, right? So that's their singular focus. So, anyways, you're in a rural community. Your government's doing the opposite of what you want. You try to advocate. You call your MP and all that sort of stuff. And lo and behold, they keep doubling down on this leftist nonsense. You know why? Because you're not a stakeholder. Your town is not a stakeholder. You're under the general population, but you're not a preferred stakeholder that has a specific voting block. But you know who is? The trans lobby. They're a stakeholder, guarantee it. They have many different stakeholder groups that are trying to force different policy positions on them, and they'll go in with data to say, look how many people we have on our voter list. We have 500,000 people. We want you to address our needs, or we're going to send a blast email every day to our 500,000 supporters, and we're going to hammer you. So do it and destroy your reputation. All of this, much like what they were doing to me, is all about reputation destruction, right? So I think the issue that we're saying, because this is just a 50,000-foot summary. I'm not going to get into details too much today, but this whole shift towards addressing stakeholders, or as Klaus Schwab describes it, stakeholder capitalism, right? Isn't this funny how things kind of tie into each other very well? But this addressing the needs of stakeholders, which are dominated by leftists, is why we're having so much chaos in the world. Because all these stakeholders, all these groups, all these proxy organizations that are being built are all being built based on leftist ideology, while the rest of us are busy, I don't know, working, right? Providing for a family, myself, heading out in the truck. Like, that's why. We don't have time for this bullshit. Part of my language. Everyone should boycott TikTok. If you have the app, the Chinese have your info, including every keystroke you make on your phone and computer. This includes when you buy from Amazon and your bank info, everything. Pam, 100%, and you say that as I'm broadcasting to TikTok, not on my primary phone, but I have a burner phone here separately. I'm hoping it's going to be banned within the next 6 months for that reason. But that's not even the biggest concern with TikTok. Scott Adams talks about this frequently, and he's right, that TikTok is being used as a weapon to manipulate younger people, to destroy their ability to focus, to have them focus on degeneracy content, because TikTok in China and the West are completely different. In China, it's all very wholesome. It's like what YouTube used to be. It's DIY videos, educational videos, stuff like that to make your life better. But it's a completely different database in the West because they're using it as a weapon to subvert us. Hi, BJ and lovely people. Good morning. Wish you a lovely and blessed Tuesday. Andrea, muchas gracias por todo. Andrea is from Chile. She's going to be co-hosting a Twitter space with myself and Dave and a bunch of people tomorrow on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So if you speak Spanish, you'll hear how horrible my Spanish is as I'm working to improve it with them. And we're talking about all these geopolitical issues that are not just local to Canada, happening all over the world. And much like in Canada and Chile, you also see this separation between urban and rural divides. At the urban part of the urban centers are dictating policies for rural communities. Working and trying to keep up with politics, it's too much. It takes a while. It takes a while to understand how all the mechanisms work, but that's what I'm here trying to explain to all of you, because I think we can fix this. I think we can fix all of this. But I hope you understand what a stakeholder is. So I was involved in something political several years ago, and I remember when me and a couple of people I was working on, this is just, I don't want to get into the details right now. I'm going to talk about it in detail one day. That's why I want to save it. But I remember we had a meeting with Andrew Scheer. And it was Andrew Scheer and a couple of people in the Conservative Party who thought they were important, and myself and a couple of people, and it was just ridiculous. It was in like the board, one of the boardrooms, I guess their boardroom, OLL's boardroom, Opposition Leader Office. Their boardroom in Parliament Hill, in the Parliament Building. And I remember all they cared about is how many voters you got, like how many people do you have on your list, and I wouldn't tell them. So And what they said was, okay, well, we'll get you on board. And, oh my God, this is not the time. We'll get you on board and we will, we'll make you a stakeholder. And I remember, like ribeye steak? Or understand, stakeholder. And I want to say, oh no, that's really good, because then, you know, when the Conservative Party has a question on this issue, they'll come to us. The flip side is they'll also dictate to us how we discuss things. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not interested. No. If that were the case, I'd be more active, involved in the party. I want to do things separately from it, right? We'll support, but, you know, it is what it is. I don't think China would freeze your bank account, but guess who has and would? Yeah, well, I mean, no, China is pretty awful. They would not just freeze your bank accounts. They'd freeze your bank accounts and sell off your children to harvest their organs. So they're pretty brutal. They are pretty bad. The only hold one kind of steak. Yeah, 100%. Anyways, I'm going to show you a video in a couple of seconds. So with this stakeholder issue, I'm going to show you this graph. I don't know if you call it a graph. It's a graphic. It's the kind of lazy stuff that pseudo-intellects in politics could come up with. If you are on Locals, it's the thumbnail. And if you're on TikTok, you shouldn't be on TikTok. Okay, so... you know what? I think I can. Hold on. Let me see if I did this last time. I wonder if I can attach an image. Wait 1 second. Hold on. If I can do this, and let me see if I can do this really quickly for all of you. If I can, I will. I can't, I won't. No, you can only do links. I can't. Oh, you know what? I can do... if I have Twitter on my iPad, hold on. I just want everybody in Locals to have access to see this as well, just because those are the people who are supporting me financially. So I got it. Yeah, okay. Here's the link from copy link, and let's go back over to Locals, and I'm going to post so if you're in Locals, go to the. Oh wait. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, hold on. I found something. Okay, perfect. I can actually upload the image in Locals. I'm just not very wise, can I tell you. Let's see if that worked. If you are on Locals and you're in the comments, by the way, you can post images and memes, apparently, and I love when people do the memes. It looks like it's trying to work, but crashing or something like that. Something's uploading. Okay, perfect. You're on Locals. You can see it now. And if you're in the mainstream, you'll see it right now. And let's close that. Don't ask me this again. Okay, so this is from what Ro was explaining in his video, which is this is one of 88 pages from the stakeholder communication process, procedure, whatever the name of the document was. It's too early in the morning for me. I can't remember. But these are people related to the Freedom Convoy that the political Big Con Canada Inc. That's why I also want to distinguish. It's not officially the Conservative Party, but it's a lot of people with ties to the Conservative Party and other political parties, which Ro will explain in a second when I play this segment of his video for you. That are identified as stakeholders. And so addressing concerns, keeping informed, partial involvement, and active and full-time involvement. Now, one of the things in addressing concerns, look who we have here. It's my nemesis, Jeremy McKenzie, the guy who kept calling me a Fed, the guy who kept harassing me, the guy who kept saying that, oh, the Freedom Convoy organizers are stealing, or doing this, or they're bad people or whatever. Oh, look at this. He was identified as a stakeholder, which means they were in communication with him, doesn't it? Now, you have the general population, too, because, yes, they're in communication with the general population through Digicom. But this is a specific stakeholder. That's kind of funny. Isn't it funny that while they were trying to sabotage and take over the convoy, there's somebody here who's addressed as a stakeholder was sitting there running his mouth and attacking all of us. And, you guys didn't know. I know that. I knew something was up. I theorized. I said a couple of times, I can't remember if it was in Twitter Spaces or just, group conversations or whatever. I said, he's getting boosted, meaning somebody within BigCon Canada Inc. is usually what they do is they'll give $500, $1,000 a month, and they'll boost some of your content to help you grow your audience, and that's kind of the benefit that you get of working with them. So there you go. He was a stakeholder. Is that why he was called to participate in the POEC? Did the government know he was a stakeholder and tied to the political establishment? I don't know. But you got a lot of other stakeholders here. You have alternative media, separate from the press and media, which is legacy media, a.k.a. fake news. Oh, look, the Freedom Convoy group lawyers, stakeholders, the medical experts, right? Because during the Freedom Convoy, I was trying to, or we were with our messaging and our strategy, trying to cast a wide net, trying to reach people who are left, right, pro-vax, anti-vax, whatever. We needed to come together to oppose mandates and the ArriveCan app. That's what this was about, right? But they kept trying to shove medical experts to the point that we had almost a screaming match. I just told them, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you people. I'm just walking away. Thank you. Goodbye. But they were so hell-bent on getting the medical experts in. Like, if you get the medical experts in, now you've committed to one side. Now you're not going to reach the people we need to reach about freedom, and you'll be talking to yourselves again, echo chambering. Now, political parties like to do that because they want to bring their base out, right? That's how you knew this is all political. It's all fucking political parties. And look at this one here. Active and full-time involvement in a stakeholder. What do you have? Look at this green one in the center. Trudeau cabinet. The Trudeau cabinet. So they were communicating with the Trudeau cabinet? That's kind of concerning. I don't know. I'm just here asking questions. I mean, I know what this means, but I know this is all new to you guys, so I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much. K9, I'm sure you're going to go through the rabbit hole. K9 is an amazing researcher for all this sort of stuff. But that is just one of 88 pages of political corrupt nonsense that is destroying our political stuff. Jane's scarf was interesting. I don't understand why. Jane was, they're big on the whole Bill of Rights stuff and all that sort of thing. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I haven't spoken to her. But it says partial involvement. It also could be that she reached out to them and they thought that there might be an opportunity to work with that group moving forward. Because if you notice, that group also didn't really talk to me all that much until after they didn't reach out to me till before the POEC. So they pretended I never existed, which is whatever. I don't really care. It's not about me. But leading up to the POEC, then they started reaching out to me, right? Okay, who is this? God, I got it. Okay, somebody is. I'm going to have to go. Give me 1 second. I have to go here to the live stream because somebody keeps posting and posting and posting and posting and posting. And it's becoming, what is that? Is that on Facebook? Oh, it's on Facebook. It's on, okay. Okay. It's on Facebook. I'm not logging on the Facebook for right now, but whoever's doing that, Bahari, can you please just do me a favor? Just chill right now. We saw you posted something. One's enough. I mean, the rule for posting, if the scroll bar comes up, then you got to kind of stop. David, what's up, brother? It's good to see you. Okay, anyways. So this is in terms of Jane Scarf, clearly they saw her or that group as an opportunity for communications, or my guess is they communicated with her, they talked, and then they just did their own thing, and they were not what we call a reliable stakeholder. But who knows? Who knows? Also, Hitchhiker, when people say, and I'm not saying this about her, when people say they don't like them at all, yeah, take that with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of deception that goes on in politics. I'm not saying that she is. I'm just saying with other people in general, don't necessarily take them at their word sometimes. It's, it's a little frustrating. Okay, so that is the stakeholder chart, which I'll go into more detail in the future, because there's so many more of those things. I got to kind of package it and put it together. That might be something good for like a long stream when I have a lot of time, and we'll do it then. So I want to shift over to the war campaign and Rowan's video. Rowan shows how these people manipulate and use the same liberal tactics, disappointment. Well, of course, because remember, the primary lobby firm that the Conservative Party uses to identify stakeholders and for messaging was co-founded by Katie Telford, the chief of staff of Justin Trudeau. Like, it's literally the Uniparty. That's why people ask me about Pierre Poilievre. I'm like, Pierre is not the problem. The problem is the party around him. Now, I think he should be a lot more aggressive and push back and take half of these people and just throw them down the garbage chute. You don't need them. They're ruining the party. But what are you going to do? That requires a lot of political capital, and I understand how that's going to be a challenge for just about anybody who's in that situation, right? Okay, so next, I don't know. Hurt Locker Tom was always in the Signal chat advocating for Jeremy McKenzie. Yeah, isn't that funny, right? Well, because they're also part of a group that's getting, I think it's $12,000 a month to also be a stakeholder and talk about the Freedom Convoy in a certain way, and to try to shift attention away from maybe those of us who actually ran the Freedom Convoy. They're so corrupt. They're so disgusting. This is Banana Republic level corruption. It's absolutely gross. Okay, so I have a little segment here from War Campaign. So what do you get if you come on and you get approached to be a stakeholder, and you decide? Do you know how much money they get paid from Hannah? Okay, so a couple of things. If you become a stakeholder and you got a good platform and you're growing, it's not from them directly. They'll get donors that will donate, $500, $1,000 to boosting whatever content you do. So you do a couple of videos, you do a couple of articles. They will pay for it to be boosted or promoted on Facebook or whatever platform, and then they'll write it off as a tax expense for their business, for their little shell company. That's how it operates, right? So these people don't get money directly. They get the benefits of advertising promotion. They also get the benefits of access to certain people to be guests on their platforms that will help grow their numbers as well. It's not usually money directly that is the big benefit. It's helping to grow their platform. Funny how whenever a board gets taken over, it's never for the better. The rhetoric in the media, talking points email sounds like it was written by the Liberal Party. Oh yeah, and they double down on Indigenous and identity politics and racial politics. That's what happens when you have. If they want credibility, take their deputy leader, throw her down the garbage chute as well, get rid of her, because she's a woke supremacist. So how conservative are you going to be when your deputy leader, who was a lobbyist for Katie Telford's lobby firm, so for Prime Minister Trudeau's lobby firm, that lobbyist, a rookie, is now the deputy leader of the Conservative Party. think there might be a problem, right? So, anyways, but yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. Hannah Fudge is awesome. She's wonderful. And Hannah, thank you and Salman and everybody else for everything that you're doing. And I think you've been subjected to some of this as well. And so this is why I want to explain a lot of what's going on. All right, so we're going to go to the benefits of being a stakeholder, and then we're going to call it a day because I got to get on the road, and I'll follow up with this. We'll talk more later on in the week. So I'm going to take a little segment from War Campaign from yesterday that is relevant to all of this stuff, and I'm just going to play a little bit so you kind of understand. I'm trying to address alternative media here. One of the things that I'm never going to shut up about, that on the 30th of January, 2022, myself and Tamara gave an exclusive interview to Rebel News. It was the #1 news story in the world. All my inboxes were overflowing with thousands of messages from media all over the world. I thought we'd kill two birds with one stone. We'd be able to get the narrative out ahead of time, give it to Rebel News. They would get out there, and we would front run the legacy media narrative. But what did Rebel News do? Nothing. They took the interview and they threw it down the garbage chute. They buried it. They spiked the story, which is inexcusable if you are any sort of media company. Because, anyways, whatever. All right, so I'm going to let's shift over to Rowan here. And we're just going to play maybe a minute or so of yesterday. Think of the benefits of becoming a stakeholder and playing into this nonsense, okay? Hopefully you can all hear it. I'll turn it up as loud as I can because it's going to go through the condenser mic. You'll hear it on locals, no problem, and TikTok, I'm sure. So just listen carefully. I'm doing my best, K9. I'm sorry if I can't make it louder.
Because remember, people are paid in different ways on independent media and social media. They're paid by access to certain personalities so that they're able to put on, live streams with certain people that are then going to attract more of an audience. So you're going to get more followers, more subscribers. They're paid with that. They're paid with access to politicians. Okay. So I actually had a discussion with people from this group, and it was clear that if I decided to change the War Campaign name and our ethos and really not talk about any of that stuff, then it would be very possible to get access to certain politicians. You possibly would have Mr. Maxime Bernier on the channel, or other politicians I would have access to, and I could sit down there. Right, we've seen some people sit down with, for example, Melissa Lantzman or Leslie Lewis or other people, right, and have sit down at the table or go to conservative meetings, right, these CPC meetings and things like that. It's something that we discussed and something that we came to the.
So notice what he just said, and this is not about any individual party, right? He just said he would have had access to people like Maxime Bernier, Melissa Lantzman, that's the woke supremacist who's deputy leader, Leslyn Lewis. And what have you seen over the past year? Have you not seen YouTubers in Canada all of a sudden, out of nowhere, start putting Keith Wilson on their platform repeatedly, and then they start getting people who are part of the political class just kind of show up. Oh, hey, we're going to have this person as a guest today who's from ABC party, right? Big Con Canada Inc. This is not one individual political party. This is the political class and how it all works together, utilizing this stakeholder model, right? You become a stakeholder, you get access to people, and you also, like, there's another channel, I think, that I'd love to ask, what's that channel? Mr. Sunshine Baby. Another channel that I used to watch, and then they started bashing me sometime over the past year. I wondered, did they become a stakeholder? Because I noticed they shifted to just talking almost exclusively about issues around the Freedom Convoy from the perspective that the political class, how they want it to be talked about, right? BJ, what do you think of Lewis? I know her personally, actually. I've met her a couple of times. She's a strategy. So she is there to break the will of the people in the PPC to bring them over back to the Conservative Party. And that's why they use somebody who's a visible minority to do so. That's the strategy. So that's why she talks about WEF and all these things that are concerns of people who are frustrated that the Conservatives aren't conservative enough. She'll say what Pierre says. So she'll say what you want Pierre to say, so Pierre doesn't have to say it. That's how this operates, right? Again, it's just about manipulating blocks of voters. And that's not about her or anybody else. It's the mechanism. And this is the problem. When people say, what do you think about this politician and that politician? It's like, no, they're all a strategy. They're all positioned a different way. That's it. Kind of like a sales team. You know, if you've ever seen, high-level sales is usually not one person. You have a sales team. And that sales team each has different messaging that they need to use, right? And they will address different concerns. That's what your political parties have become. They've just become a sales team to sell you a narrative, right? And they're going for a narrative to address one segment of the voting bloc. And in the case of the Conservative Party, they're going after liberals. They're not going after you, right? And this is going to be the third time they're trying this stupid strategy that keeps costing them elections. Why do people keep posting the same thing over and over again? Do I have to stop with Facebook? It's like people on Facebook have Tourette's or something. Just copy, paste, like post your link. I don't know what it is. Okay, great. Why? Fine. Leave it. Just one time. One time's enough. Anyways, okay. So let me see. Did I finish enough of the clip that I wanted to do? Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'll leave that for now. You really got to watch the live stream from War Campaign yesterday that's going to address all of this stuff. He breaks down what they were presenting to them, all the identity politics that they had there as well. He does make one mistake, though, and I actually messaged Rowan, and I told him, and he responded with a double facepalm. I said, the only difference is he says that the chart, the initial chart, let me see, and the report itself. So he said, and he doesn't know, right? It's not his fault. He said, this is what the lawyers put together. No. This is not put together by lawyers. This is put together by a comms team, people who have experience in political PR, that sort of thing. This was not put together by lawyers. Lawyers are the cutouts, right? Everybody in politics, especially your political leaders, does plausible deniability. There was somebody very, very influential politically in Canadian conservative politics who was part of a bribe or an attempt to bribe somebody, but he's in the conversation, but then he leaves the conversation, and then the attempt to bribe starts 3 minutes later. So they can say, oh, I was in the beginning of the meeting, but I wasn't there at that point, right? Even though they're completely involved. That's how corrupt all these people are, right? But this comes from, I think I know the person, at least one of the people who put this together, because this looks like their kind of work. But this comes from Big Con Canada Inc., which is tied to multiple political parties that is there just to manipulate you. That's where this comes from. This is a comms team. The lawyers are just the cutout. So, anyways. Hey, easy now, BJ. What'd I do? Wait, did I say something wrong? I don't know. I thought this was pretty good. Like, it's so nice. It's so nice to be able to, like, people finally understand what's going on. Because, I could talk till I was blue in the face, and people are just like, because it's so esoteric, it takes a while to dissect all of this and to explain it all. And that's why I'm going to continue to do this over the next several months. That's why I told you a couple of months ago that the attacks on me are going to be escalating dramatically. And what happened? Like 2 weeks later, all of a sudden Humpty Dumpty comes out and starts, every other stream is attacking me, and, all the fake allegations that have been disproven by public documents. They don't care. They just need to see it. They're just going to sell you whatever BS you're willing to swallow. But I don't really care. I do my own thing. You guys are all amazing. All of you have been so loving and wonderful. And I can't thank you enough. I really do. I really do appreciate it. But anyways, so that's the basics of what a stakeholder is. A stakeholder is how a political party uses to communicate to blocks of voters as opposed to communicating to individuals. And, I could argue the case in favor of the political parties and explain why, but yeah, fuck them. Not after how they've behaved with me over the past year. No, I'm not. Anyways, this also relates to, remember, I explained in an earlier stream that when a politician knocks on your door and starts talking to you, they don't care what they care what you think. They're not looking to actually engage in a genuine conversation with you. They're just looking to identify, are you a 1, 2, or a 3? Are you a supporter, somewhere in between, a swing voter, or are you opposition? If you're a supporter in opposition, that's it. You don't get any more knocks at the door. But if you're a swing voter, you're going to get knocks at the door. And that's how it works. Humpty Dumpty was in the chat room also. Which chat room? I love the name. And I guarantee you, that's a perfect example, by the way. Thank you. Humpty Dumpty, guarantee you he signed this. That's how they're boosting trying to boost his presence, right? He, all of a sudden, remember he said, somebody told me, he said recently, well, he started having Wilson and all the people who presented this document, because Wilson's nothing but a camera whore, like he's sick. He's really sick in his head. I think the guy's seriously mentally ill. Because in Ottawa, you would just run to any camera. I've never seen that before. It was crazy. But he had Wilson on, and then all of a sudden he said, "Oh, we might be." I can't remember. He said, "We might be able to get somebody significant on," or whatever it was. It's because of this, because he's doing this too, right? He's communicating exactly how they want him to communicate about the Freedom Convoy. It's a complete fraud. What are you gonna say? It is what it is. That's why I don't really pay much attention to it and don't really care. Humpty Dumpty was recruited by Melissa Lantsman, I would bet. Humpty Dumpty met with Melissa Lantsman and Pierre Poilievre the first week of the convoy. It's not a convoy, the first week of the POEC, the first week of the commission. Because he was nice with me before. Sent me a text message, hey man, because he wanted to do stuff together. He wanted to promote our books together or whatever it was. And then he goes to meet with woke supremacist Melissa Lantsman, who I've had I'm not a fan of, we'll just say that. And he met with the two of them, and then he all of a sudden turns and starts, Dichter the Fed. Like, okay, you're literally talking with people who want to control the federal government. Yet this trucker guy, this entrepreneurial trucker guy, he's the Fed. Okay, great. Oh, that's funny. So Humpty Dumpty was apparently in the call as well, I guess. That's funny. So Humpty Dumpty. So it sounds like War Campaign said, yeah, thanks, you can go take this and shove it up your rear. But Humpty Dumpty's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do it. I mean, like, what a sucker, too, I could see... Anyways, I'm not going to talk about Humpty Dumpty anymore. You know what? Forget it. Doesn't really matter. So we're still talking, meanwhile, the country is going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, and here's the problem, Anne. This is what they spend all their time doing, this nonsense. They don't spend any of their time, governing. And so forget governing, right? We'll just behave like Doug Ford or John Tory as conservatives. We'll just bend over and do whatever the lefties want to say, because we all got all these lefty stakeholders, and they're just telling us what to do, and we're just going to do it, right? Think it'll be it's frustrating, right? And you'd think they would care, but anyways. And by the way, that's not for say that there are good people still in the political parties who are equally concerned as you and I, but they don't have the momentum and they don't have the strength. Because maybe we need to come up with our own stakeholder group strategy. which we're going to talk about in the near future. Okay, it is 8:26. It's 8:26. Sorry, 9:26. I got to get going to Massachusetts. I'm going to be late, and I wanted to get out of here by 9, but whatever. I'm gonna head out to Massachusetts. Please have an awesome day, everybody. I hope this was informative. If you have any questions, let me know. Post them to Twitter or whatever. I'll try to answer what I can. We'll do another stream. We're going to talk more and more about this. I also know War Campaign is going to get into this more and more. And it's going to take a while for people to really absorb this and understand how it all works. But, you know, transparency is a big part of how we're going to solve all of this, right? And tomorrow, thank you, Andrea, as well. Tomorrow, por la mañana, en la noche, por miércoles, por las 7. If you want to speak Spanish or learn Spanish or talk about all of these sort of geopolitical issues and do so in Spanish, then join us. Davo and Andrea are going to be hosting it tomorrow. I didn't crash and burn quite as badly as I thought I would last week. I'm sure this week I won't disappoint you because we'll get into more detail and I'll be like, que. They tried to use Rowan as a digital warrior in the kind of people of color stakeholders. Oh, yeah, that's right. Only white supremacists talk about people of color. Yeah, I remember, a little movie called Mississippi Burning and people of color or colored people. Like, that's how blatantly racist people have become. Like, legitimately. And the best part was they wanted Rowan to be the brown guy. And it's like, have you seen Rowan? Like, irrespective of his cultural background, Rowan, in my opinion, is as Canadian can get. Like, that guy he's got, a wonderful, at least from what I've seen, a wonderful sense of moral standing. He's not bowing to this corruption as we see, and he doesn't back down, right? That's what we all have to be like. But yeah, no, they wanted to put him, and he started doing the impression, like the Mpu impression. It was so funny. It was so good. But yeah, they're just a bunch of racists. They're legitimately terrible. But I didn't know Humpty Dumpty was in that meeting as well. That is very funny. I think this is going to get a lot more interesting. This is only the beginning. Anyways, Hitchhiker, keep the greasy side down. I got to tell you, man, yesterday and the last trip as well, coming back, it was not easy. Last night was, I don't know how many inches of snow, but like there was thick snow on the highway that I was trying to get through. And the other thing is, it's frustrating as a trucker because you're basically working on a timer. Your ELD, you only have so many hours that you can drive, and then you just have to stop. And I was getting close to, okay, you only have an hour left, getting to the border. I think I got to the border with 20 minutes of drive time left in the United States. So if I had been any slower by 20 minutes, I would have had to pull over. I mean, I guess I could have done, weather conditions acceptance, but that's a whole other series of problems and issues. Anyways, I will. Thank you, brother. I'm going to do my best. And Andrea says, you will do great. Vamos a ver. Pero gracias por todo. And that's it. I hope you all have an amazing day. I hope this was hopeful. And again, any questions, do not hesitate to send them to me. Let's talk more and more about stakeholders and then solutions. We'll get to that in the near future. Delta Mail, thank you, brother. And you guys all have an amazing day. I got to run, and maybe I'll do a little TikTok thing later on tonight or in the morning or something online. Okay? I love you all.